Hey guys, let's talk about high idle. In this video, I'd like to include why you should and shouldn't high idle, when, right? Why and when, those are kind of hand in hand. Metals, expansion rates, heat ups, cool downs, that's a lot of things people don't talk about. I was on daddy daycare this morning, or daddy duties, or whatever you want to call them, and I was watching a few of these videos, and I've seen these pop up in my feed here and there, right? And how, one mechanic says you just scrape off your window and off you go. Another guy says no, you got to warm it up, and third guy says it really doesn't matter. Coming from a consumer, right? Coming from myself that utilizes a lot of these pickups for personal and business, also running a diesel shop. So with the collected data that I have on hand, I'll share it. And that's why these videos exist. That's why this channel exists. It's all about experience. So in a previous video I did, my truck was high idling itself. So let's start with that. If you have a newer vehicle and no one tinkered with it, right, it's gonna high idle itself, guys. Summer or winter, fall or spring. These vehicles are so intelligent. They're so well programmed. They're so well designed as far as tuning goes, and what they have, right? They're so limited by the government, and they're so regulated by the government. So I give them props for even making vehicles nowadays, because we know some manufacturers like Cat, they said, adios amigos, we're out of here, you guys deal with this nonsense. And they're right. I don't judge them at all. But then we, the consumers, are left hanging, right? Caterpillar don't make highway engines. They said, we are out of this BS. It's literally what it is, The EPA has these manufacturers so crammed. And they're doing a good job as far as manufacturers go, but that's so much extra tech on the truck that benefits it, but it's also to its own detriment, right? It's, me getting phone calls, hey, the truck's in limp mode, XYZ, hey, the truck's in limp mode, XYZ. I wish these gas stations would be held accountable for selling bad def. 2 months ago, we got 2 trucks with bad def, and it went quiet. Well, guess what? Last night, another truck got bad def, and guess what? He's going in limp mode. So that's a video for another time. So about these combustion chamber temps, right? This is all controlled through the ECU, and your truck knows it. Unless the manufacturer killed your high idle, and I'm pretty sure they don't kill it in the sense of tuning. They just kill it in the Cummins trucks that you can't set the high idle, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, naturally meaning within the route or the process of operating these vehicles, Duramax, Cummins, or Power Stroke, they will high idle themselves. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, those trucks that have been messed with, right? Tunes that have been recalibrated, and all those guys, that have non-OEM tuning, yeah, I can see how that's a concern. And the older trucks, that's definitely a concern for older trucks. Oh, that's a hard one. Older trucks, my prime experience goes from 2000 and forward on. All these trucks, right? I got heavy into hot shodding 2014 and forward. So plenty experience with the 14s, 15s, 16s, so on and so forth. Duramax, not so much. Power Stroke. My Power Stroke experience does not just come from my 2 or 3 Power Strokes that I've personally owned, right, or the business owned. But it comes from customers coming in, right? I could share those stories another time. So I rarely see washed out cylinders and stuff like that, because someone's been idling the living piss out of it. Something that comes close to a mess inside the engine is CCVs, guys. I can't stress that enough. Watch your filters. Ford guys, throw out that positive crank ventilation piece of crap that you had in there. Majority of you guys have 23 or 22 and older vehicles. Throw that stuff out. Yes, they look different, but yes, they fit. Go in and tell them you need one for a 2024 or 23. And some of these knuckleheads will ask you for a VIN number. Go off their lot and give them a VIN number off of those pickups. Is this legal or not? Argue till you're blue. It doesn't help when the parts guy doesn't know how to search up a 24. But get a CCV from a 24. The difference, or the deal, or the big commotion there is your CCV is a baffling system. Think of it as a centrifuge. It's a device that separates vapor from liquid, if you could call it that, or extracts the mist in the air and lets it, to the best of its abilities, lets it run it back down in the crankcase and lets the engine suck in pure air as much as possible, right? Think of it as a catch can. That's the best way I could explain it to Google if you don't know what I'm talking about. The older units, as far as my knowledge goes, are all filtered. Some are serviceable and some are not. Throw that stuff away and put in a 2023 plus CCV. So that'll take care of that one for you. Now, another one to look out for is metal expansion and contraction rates. A lot of you guys are blowing manifolds, cracking manifolds, busting, snapping bolts, gaskets. Where am I coming up with all this crap? I see you guys pull into the shop. You guys are there all the time. And it's simple, guys. Just like you need a warm-up before you exercise or before you go all out on that bench press or whatever you're doing or sprint, you need to warm up. So does your metals. So does your oils. So does your everything in your truck. I am also in support of do not excessively idle your truck. That can be beneficial for you. But please, don't start a frozen truck, scrape your window, and start towing loads with it. If you're an 18-wheeler, if you're a Class A driver, your semi-truck won't let you engage the exhaust brake or the engine brake, proper engine brake, if it's below certain threshold. Every manufacturer kind of engages it differently. I've seen them about 140 to 160. Yes, your engine brake will not engage until your oil temps are to a certain degree. So what does that tell you? Let the computer do its thing. I can bet you money, you idle your truck for too long or longer than the computer sees fit, it will bump up the idle for you. You can place your bets 2014s and up. You got yourself covered till current. I don't know when they actually started integrating this advanced technology. It is good technology. Don't freak out. Don't knock it off of it high idle unless you need to take off. Please. That's who's causing the damage. You are. I've seen a guy, like his truck keeps trying to go into high idle and he just keeps knocking it out. It's like, why? He knocks it out of high idle and he's sitting there and idling his truck. Let your truck do its thing. Your truck, manufacturers know that you're not a rolling mechanic. You don't know. Let the truck do its thing. So, let's rewind this whole tape. Should you let your truck idle? Absolutely. Let your truck get up to the temp. What's my rule of thumb? 100 Fahrenheit. 100 Fahrenheit on the coolant is where I like to see my truck get at. These newer trucks with such massive cooling system struggle to get up to that. Like this Ford, it struggles to get up to that temp. So I let it idle 10 to 15 minutes and I take off. Slowly. So coolant temp 100, your oil is going to be up to 100. If you want to get nitty gritty into your oils need to be up to temp, to certain temp for those additives to work, guys. It's the stupid, I don't know if that's what the individual intended. He seems to be a really sharp guy when it comes to building engines. I feel like he needs to make a longer video and get into the gritty needing. I think all he was trying to say is don't idle the piss out of your engines. I think that's what he was trying to say. But nevertheless, if you got a 2014 and up truck, don't attempt not to idle the piss out of it. If your job requires for you to sit in your truck or for you to be outside the truck and it's running a PTO, it's running something for you, let it do its thing. It's going to high idle the piss out of itself. These newer trucks, they even have a 30-minute timer. Guys are coming up with bypasses for those. But it is super important to let the truck high idle. Absolutely. If your truck doesn't kick into high idle after a long period of time, go to the dealer, make sure they get it all figured out for you. Thank you, Dave. So, yes, that's super important. 18-wheeler guys know about this. The guys that run classic trucks, they know about it. I have a 99 Kenworth N9 or W900L with an N14 in it, and I literally have a switch on my dash, up and down my idle. Literally, it's not the newer one where you go in through cruise control. I literally have a idle switch up and down. Right, as soon as you park it, just kind of kicking it to the 900 is a good 8 to 900 is average day kind of scenario. Really hot or cold temps, bump it up a little higher. There's a lot attached to that, right? In the hot days, you got your AC and your cooling and your oil. You're, expediting the process of cooling them off. And then on the cold days, you're keeping that combustion chamber up to temp. Be concerned on those really cold days if your coolant can't sustain 150, 160, right? If you can't at least keep up to 150, 160, do something. Well, gee, what do you want me to do? Hook up a heater to it? I mean, that's an option, but first thing I'll do is block off the radiator 90%. 90% of the radiator, have it blocked off, and don't overdo it. Well, I should rephrase that. Like in the Ram, if you block off 90% of the radiator, you still got the bottom section that's not blocked off, which is the intercooler system, and it still sucks in probably 20, 30, well, probably 30% of its airflow through the bottom, so you'll be just fine. Be considerate. Don't just choke out your truck. Don't let that radiator exchange any heat, and then you're overheating. But block off majority of the airflow to that radiator so it's not losing heat, right? You want that thermostat working a little bit. You don't want it struggling one way or another. Second thing, man, this turned into a long video. Sorry, you guys, but it's a necessity thing if you're living on the road. Second thing is let your engine get up to at least 100 degrees and slowly take off. Slowly take off. Your diffs are still ice cold. Your transmission is probably not up to all that temp. Stuff like that, be considerate. Just because you're at 120, all right, I can go hot rodding. Don't do that. Take it easy. Take it super easy. And cooling off is just as important, especially in the summer. When you're coming in, idle your truck for a while. Bump up the high idle and let it idle for a while. Bring the temps down and the coolant, or should I say, let the temperatures drop in the fluid so the fluid could drop the temperatures in the metals. I can't stress that enough. You guys keep blowing manifolds. I have a customer out of Wisconsin right now, confused as heck why he's blowing a manifold, one manifold a year, and he just won't listen. He tows, oh man, you serious? He tows extremely heavy, and he's mad at everybody, right? He's mad at Cummins for putting on that manifold. He's mad at Dorman, which, all right, keep my comments to myself. He won't go fatter, thicker aftermarket. He's just like, it should work. Well, it doesn't. These trucks are maxed out, right? Especially what he tows. He tows, with the 3500, he tows a big oiling setup. So pretty much he does asphalt repair. That trailer alone is probably a solid 24,000 pounds. A solid. Very heavy trailer. And yeah, cooling off your metals is super important. Because obviously cast, steel, stainless steel, aluminum, they all cool off differently. And for them all to be on the same page, you gotta let one catch up to the other. It's simple as that, right? In a cold state, they all match up, everything's perfect. But once they start getting really hot, that's why certain things are intended to flow, move, expand, contract, right? That's all part of the engineering. So, just like it's important to get up to 100 degrees, just as it's important to bring your temps down. In the summer, I mean, shoot, sometimes I've had to idle my truck for 20, 30 minutes to bring it down. I'm not even going to talk about saving your turbo with that. That's a whole different thing. Your oil needs to be brought down. Your turbo needs to be brought down. The metals need to be brought down. Okay? I can't say this any more explicit, or should I say, I could get in the nitty gritty, but the bottom line is, get some heat in your engine. Do not extendedly idle your truck at idle speeds, if you can help it. A lot of you can't. Some of you guys from sunrise to sunset idle your truck. Make sure it kicks into high idle. If it doesn't, go to the manufacturer dealership. Make sure it's engaged. If that's not enough for you, there's plenty of options in the aftermarket world. Ford, well, Cummins has a factory. Ford and Duramax, there's aftermarket provisions for it. You plug it in, you bump your high idle. What's the RPM I should run my truck at? Guys, you feel your truck. You can feel the vibration. You can feel the heat. You can feel everything. So in the summer, because you're so dependent on that cooling fan for your condenser, 1200 comes to mind on that one. 11 to 1200. In the winter, 1000 to 1100 is what comes to my mind. It doesn't, you don't have to follow that as a law. I don't see 2000 being useful, and I don't see, what are these things idle? 600, 700, you bumping up to 800 is probably not enough. Anyways, guys, I'll leave you at that. This became a very long video, but I know it's going to save a lot of you headaches.